I mentioned Harvard and American universities. As you and I know, one of the problems they've had is this notion of cancel culture and people being deplatformed, not allowed to speak. And you care a lot about free speech. What do you make of the government's intentions to legislate, apparently with the goal being to protect free speech and to punish or fine universities if they are seen to be not granting platforms to people and people feel they've been discriminated against?
Well, I think it's an overreaction. I have some sympathy for what's behind it, but I think it's overreacting. And I think the Secretary of State is falling victim to the same tendencies of most people who talk about freedom of speech. They really just object to speech that they disagree with, because the Secretary of State says that freedom of speech and institutional autonomy are the two key ingredients, but he's actually eroding institutional autonomy with this legislation. I think reasonable people would argue that the Secretary of State's insistence that universities accept his particular definition of anti-Semitism, it's perfectly reasonable for the Secretary of State to insist that we have a robust definition of anti-Semitism and that we do not allow it on our campuses. But to insist on a particular definition, or the Secretary of State imposes the prevent legislation on universities. Again, many people, I think, would argue that this has a chilling effect on freedom of speech. And yet, I think he's onto something when he says that there is a liberal orthodoxy in universities. It's an orthodoxy I share, but I think he's right that there aren't enough voices challenging that orthodoxy, and that sometimes academics, especially junior academics, feel that they censor themselves rather than oppose the orthodoxy. And finally, our students, and some of them share the views of their American counterparts. I mean, the president of our student union last year insisted that no platforming was an exercise in freedom of speech. I think too many students believe that they have a right not to be offended, that they have a right not to hear views that they feel will make them feel belittled. And I don't think we have that right. I think education is about being discomforted. It's about being robbed of your certitudes. And we as educators, I think, have to educate our students to learn to engage with those whose views they disagree with. So I think we haven't done as much as we should. We need to do more, but I don't think government legislation is the way to insist on that, though with luck, it will encourage more debates in universities on the subject. And I look forward to some robust debates about it.